Can we kind of kick off with you and just talk through your first project or moment when you kind of realized I'm not just a videographer, I'm not just here with a camera, I'm actually a storyteller.
Yeah. I'll give a little context. Past year and a half was head of content for Mike Posner in a place where he wanted to expand his, brand outside of music. 5 years before that was with Gary Vee. And, back to your question, it happened early on. I noticed like even when I picked up a GoPro in 2015 that there was this like inkling for it. But it really started to happen in 2017 when I was like picking up my first freelance clients. And I was like, got it. I'm not just producing a video and sending it to the client. There was like this relationship being built, especially with pretty much my mentor at this point. And so yeah, I could tell you more about that, but that's when it started happening.
For sure, yeah, I want to dive into that. So you mentioned there picking up a GoPro. What was the reason for that?
Yeah, yeah. So it was actually a gift. Yeah, I was in college. I'm an insurance agent, and I'm not going to school for something creative. And so on my off, when I'm not in school and work, I was hiking in the Catskills because I grew up in Long Island, New York. So it was like a 3 hour drive. And then I'm also road biking a lot. My dad had this like 1980s Bianchi, and so I started strapping my phone to the bike and then making small clips for Instagram back when it was like 15-second videos. And then my aunt, who's my godmother, was like, she's like, I want to get you a GoPro. And I had never even mentioned anything about it. She's like, she's seen my videos. She's like, I'm gonna send you one. I'm like, no, no, it's like, $400 or $500. I'm like, don't do that. And then a few months later, it just showed up. And that's how that kind of landed in my, pocket. And then it just allowed me to go further because once I got that, they had their own editing platform. It was called GoPro Studios. And so now I'm jumping off Microsoft Windows, was it Movie Maker? Now I'm in GoPro Studios. And then that, like, I mean, that was just the very, very beginning.
Okay, and was that entirely self-taught, or yeah, were you kind of learning from
Yeah, I'm
anyone?
all self-taught. So it's like, get this GoPro. I've jumped off Microsoft Movie Maker. Now I'm in GoPro Studios. Then my sister's fiance at the time, he rips up a drone. I've never seen one before. It was like right when consumer drones started popping off, and I'm like, wow, this thing is amazing, and you can get this cinematic footage. And then DJI dropped like a sort of baseline. It was like the DJI Phantom 3. So I got that. And then soon after, I watched come home from school. My dad's watching this vlogger on the TV. He's watching YouTube. I'm like, who's this guy? Happens to be Casey Neistat. And so I'm like doing schoolwork, but kind of like watching. And I'm like, this is kind of dope. I'm like, this guy is like recording his day to day in New York City. And it's these like beautiful stories and to his own like creative style. And so I got so inspired by him. I picked up the same camera he had at the time, which was a Canon 80D. And so now I had this kit. And that's how it really started like building the momentum of it. And so back to your question, self-taught. I'm watching tutorials, Peter McKinnon. I'm like trying to emulate styles by like Sam Colder. These are all like 2016, 17, 18 YouTubers that were like really just popular and like doing different stuff back then, inspiring a lot of people like me.
Okay, and when do you start kind of commercializing what you're doing? Because you mentioned there kind of you're just filming yourself having fun right at the start. Where does that change?
Yeah, so I could bring it back to like the pivotal moment. I think at this point I've probably taken on a few small gigs, like shooting like interiors of homes for like local real estate people, like just making a few bucks with the knowledge I had. And this is like 2016, 2017. And then I'm in college at the time, as I mentioned, and we had a snow day, and all my friends were like going out. It was a big storm out in Long Island, and we were like had like snowmobiles out and like snowboards, and it was just like fun. And I recorded a video of that day. At the same time, this business owner on Long Island made this post, and he was like, "I'm looking for a video intern," and I messaged him. I'm like, "Hey, I'm in school. I'm interested in doing video. I'm like, maybe there's some synergy." He's like, "Let me see your stuff," and so got a few client things. They're pretty boring, but then I was like, "Oh, I just made this today," and that was like a light bulb moment for him. And he always goes back to that. He's like, "Dude, if you didn't send me that video, he's like, I probably wouldn't have hired you because he's like, you genuinely just love making videos. He's like, you had an off day from school. What'd you go do? You went and made a video." So yeah, that was the beginning of like client work, so to speak. But then entering into this like bigger chapter with this gentleman.
Okay, and what
Yeah,
what are
yeah,
you kind of doing for him, and how does that relationship develop?
yeah. So like I said, he's sister tags me in this Facebook post. gym owner's looking for a video intern. I'm like, cool, I might make a few bucks from this. And then I meet with him, and he's like, hey, do you know who Gary Vee is? I'm like, no. Like, he's like, awesome. He's like, you're gonna go home tonight. He has this vlog. It's called the Daily V, and I want you to watch it. He's like, I want to emulate the style of this vlog, the reality TV show style of it for my gym. And I went home that night. I'm watching the vlog. I'm like, wow, this dude Gary is awesome. And I'm like, can't believe he has this amazing, like, photographer, videographer, D-Rock, who's following him. And it's just different. It's like, he's got a lav mic on, and they're following around New York. And I was like, this is so cool. And so I was really inspired. I was like, maybe I can do that one day. But I'm like, let me start with the vision here with the kickboxing school. So yeah, that's how that relationship started. And so yeah, pretty much started making all these vlogs for this gym. They felt like Casey Neistat meets Gary Vee's vlog, but for a women's fitness kickboxing gym. So it wasn't like high combat stuff. It was like middle-aged women just like hitting bags and stuff. But I had craft stories out of it. It was like going up to the instructors, being like, "Hey, how's your day going?" And then making something for their Facebook group, which was actually like the biggest in like on Facebook in for like gyms in the United States.
Very cool. And
Yeah.
still at this point, are you just kind of figuring stuff out by watching YouTube videos, or?
Yeah, so definitely at that point, I'm still only like 2 to 3 years into like shooting, editing, and probably only a year into like proper DSLR. And so then, yeah, I'm making these episodes. I'm looking up stuff. I'm like, how do you add these types of transitions, titles? I'm like watching how like Gary's vlogs are being made, how they're like using a hook, then an intro, then there's like sort of like these story elements to it. So I'm like really like absorbing, but then putting in a lot of reps, because it went from making the gym vlog every week to making like micro content, which is what we called it at the time. Now everyone's like short form reels, TikTok, but this is when like videos were 15 and 30 seconds long. And then not too far after, the gym owner was like, hey, like, I want to record my own vlog. And it was really strange at the time, because like no one was doing it at that scale. It feels more normal now, since everyone's like a content creator, and there's definitely a boom where people are like, oh, let me hire my own videographer to follow me around. But this was early. This was like 2017. So like I'm coming into his life, and people are like, who are you? And like, why is there a camera here? And but we had like really good momentum in his niche.
And then I guess the next step, correct me if I'm wrong, is things come full circle, right? And you end up actually working for Gary.
Yeah. So I'm working for this guy Ed, who's the entrepreneur. He's the gym owner, and we got a small team now. I got like 2 video interns on the team. They're helping me like produce the vlog for the gym, because that's going still. That's how he's generating his revenue. And then his vlog is probably at like 50 episodes. So we've really been like ramping it up. He's getting speaking engagements. Like other gyms around the nation are like, hey, can you come speak at my gym? Flying us out. And yeah, it was like this mini Gary Vee, but gym owner. And then we're like, cool, this is interesting. It's like working for his brand. We're like, I bet this could work for other entrepreneurs, creators. So we started marketing it to people we knew in New York City. And so we called it Daily Turn Media. And like I said, those same interns worked in that media agency. And we worked with, woman Sel. She was a woman entrepreneur. She moved from Australia. She was just growing her business. We told her story. I filmed with this paparazzi duo. I found them on a BuzzFeed video. It was super viral. It was like day in the life of a paparazzi. And I was like, I never thought about that before. I'm like, I know of a paparazzi, but I was like, I didn't. And then it showed a glimpse of their life. And so I DM'd the kid. I was like, hey, can I come shoot with you? I do these like vlogs. He's like, for sure. And then I made a 10 episode series with them. I'm really proud about, like, because I think I could, quality wise, make it a lot better now. But the storytelling of it and what we documented is like, it's fun to look back on, like, running after Justin Bieber, but also telling the story of these like really kind hearted paparazzi. And so I'm doing all these vlogs for these creators, entrepreneurs. And then one of them, I had shot something for free, goes through this consulting session with Gary. And he mentions to Gary, he's like, yeah, he's like, I tried the video thing. He's like, but he's like, my D-Rock got stolen. And D-Rock, meeting his videographer, was me. And he's like, yeah, you probably know the guy Ed, because like he also had like been connected with Gary. And so Gary's like, I'm gonna steal Jason. Like he's like, oh, he got stolen from you, I'm gonna steal Jason. And so that happens, but I'm not even aware of it. like it's just recorded in this like you know uh, boardroom consulting session, and then probably a month after it got posted, I get this DM from this random guy. I've never met him. I don't even know who he is, honestly. I almost deleted it. I thought it was like a weird spam DM, but he's like, "Hey, I think you're the Jason in this video." Open it up, and it's this like timestamps right to the moment, and it's like I have all the context. I'm like, I know who that guy is. I'm like, they're bringing up my name, and I'm like, Gary Vee wants to steal me. So then I start DMing D-Rock, who I've already met at this point. I'd already asked for the job like 2 years ago, but like I had no videos to like really prove myself, and he kind of ghosted me at the time, like respectively, like I wasn't fit for the job. And then 3 days later, I was working there. Yeah,
That is very cool. That is a very
yeah.
cool story. And what were you kind of hired to do?
Yeah, so at the time they were like in a deficit of shooters and editors, especially on the long form front. Perfect place for me, considering I just spent like the past 3 years just working on like long form vlogs. Like, so yeah, it's David Rock, who is like the main shooter, Caleb Ralston, who's been on this show. He's another shooter, and then Dustin, who you should get on the show. He is a legend in the Team Gary space, and just left for his next part of his journey. But they hired me to make the vlog, and so when I came in, they had a backlog of probably like 30 qualified days that would make an episode for the vlog. And so I walked in, like, here's a laptop, here's a hard drive with the footage, and we need this, like, we need a draft by tomorrow. And it was pretty clear to me, like like when I joined, because you know, the, like Gary hired me, I kind of like brought this to the attention of the manager, and the manager was like, fine. It's like, let's see how you are. He's like, but if you can't make the vlog, like I can't keep you on the team. Like that's what I need right now. And luckily I was like super prepared. I had like music ready, like I knew what I was getting into. So that's what day one sort of like looked like. um, and it's actually funny, when I walked in, it's like super early. It's like 6 a.m, no one's even there yet. Probably people start trickling around like 9 a.m. And then Andy, who's my like manager, he's like, hey, can you go downstairs and meet Gary? And they have all the stuff from Trash Talk that they just bought, and you got to bring that upstairs. So now I'm in like this mind state of like, maybe I'm just doing anything here to like just be part of the team. But soon after, they're like, get to work.
And what is that kind of initial period like? Like, what does your day look like? What are you involved
Yeah,
in?
different then than it is now. I think the team's well oiled. Back then, it was a little bit more scrappy, and so on that day, it was, here's some footage, and I'm meeting some people. I mean, I had to go to like because it's Team Gary is part of VaynerMedia. VaynerMedia is like a 3,000 person global agency. Team Gary functions almost as its own thing, but I still had to meet with HR, and they're like trying to onboard me and stuff on that day. And I literally told the guy, I was like, I need to go edit. I'm like, I don't, I don't care about like 401k this or whatever. I'm like, if I don't make this episode, I'm like, I'm not gonna have a job here. I was like trying to be nice about it, but it was the truth. And so go back to my seat, spent like 10 hours just reviewing footage and just chopping up, taking selects out. I'm like, what's the story here? For day one, I got a call from Caleb and D-Rock. They're like, hey, can you go shoot Gary tonight? I was like, for sure. Where's he at? They're like, he's meeting with a rapper in Times Square. He's like, do you know how to shoot? I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, they have no context on me really yet. And so I go from like 10 hours editing. Now I meet Gary at this bar. He's like meeting with a CMO right before, and then this like up and coming rap artist comes in, and I'm doing the thing that I was like watching for like all these years.